I had to do some of this to get from this to this. My wife and I bought our first house about a year before starting this project. Due to the lack of money and an abundance of stubbornness, we tried to do as many home improvements on our own. After repainting a few rooms, the next and biggest project was assessing and most likely rebuilding the deck in the backyard. We immediately noticed the amount of give in the railings, the unlevelness of the decking, and the poor foundation that the deck was built on. It was time to rebuild the deck. With the help of friends, family, and dozens of YouTube videos, I was able to complete the largest project I've done so far. What follows is my attempt to capture most of the process. At this point, I gave up on trying to pry each board one by one. I then used my circular saw to cut the deck boards in half, cutting down the length of the deck, in between and parallel to the joists underneath. I then demoed any loose parts that I could. This method proved to be a lot quicker than the first. This is where things got a bit disheartening for me. After removing the ledger board, which is the 2x10 or 2x12 that attaches to the actual house, I realized that years of water damage had rotted the rim joists of the house. So, after removing any wood that had signs of water damage and replacing it with brand new pressure-treated lumber, I installed the flashing. Flashing is meant to go on decks that are attached to the house, like mine, and they are designed to keep water out of contact with the ledger board and the house's rim joists. I opted for rubber rather than aluminum that was used on the previous project. This stuff came in a roll and had a peel-off sticky side. This is a layer of flashing, followed by the ledger board, followed by another layer of flashing. After that was fixed, I moved on to removing the old posts, which were 4x6s, redigging holes a bit wider and deeper to allow for the new 6x6s, as well as to include a few inches of concrete that the posts would be sunken into. This was much better than what was there before. On the old deck, many posts had very little amount of concrete in the holes, and some had none at all. They were just buried in the ground. This is the install of the joists, which were 2x8 boards, pressure treated, followed by an end joist, securing all the beams together. Something to note here. The previous deck had its deck boards going parallel with the back side of the house, which meant the joists were perpendicular, in turn the beams going parallel. Thanks to a suggestion from my dad, I decided to turn everything 90 degrees, which would allow me to have one deck board go the length of the entire deck, instead of butting two deck boards together. This option looks a lot cleaner and seamless. Enjoy the somewhat incomplete rest of the time lapse. Most of the remaining construction is pretty self-explanatory.